Can a single piece decide the fate of an entire season? Ferrari has decided to play all its cards to a single component, the front wing. But why so much uproar with this particular piece? And above all, why Barcelona? The 2025 Formula One season has not simply started with a new race. It has begun with a total redefinition of what aerodynamics means in this category. And all this revolves around a seemingly simple technical document, but with huge consequences. The Technical Directive TD018. This change is not less, it is not cosmetic, it is not one of those adjustments that only affects the equipment that is at the limit of the regulation. No, it is a transformation that forces everyone, absolutely all, to rethink how their cars generate aerodynamic load. The TD018 establishes new stiffness parameters for the front wings. Until now, a maximum flexion of 15 mm was allowed under certain loads, a figure that for years was subject to hidden debates and traps. From the GP of Spain 2025, that limit drops to 10 mm. It may sound to a minimum change, but in the microscopic world of the F1, where a difference of 1 mm at the alert height can translate into several tenths of a second by return, we are talking about a technical earthquake. This change did not come out of nowhere. From the 2024 Belgium Grand Prix, the FIA had been applying a new methodology to audit the flexion of the ailerons. Using optical markers and high-precision cameras mounted on cars, they began registering the real deformation of the pieces during dynamic career conditions. What they discovered was revealing and worrying. The ailerons flexed much more than allowed, but not during static tests. That is, in the test banks, everything seemed legal. But on the track, under real forces, the components folded the rules literally without anyone being able to detect it with the naked eye. The most advanced teams, such as McLaren and Mercedes, had found intelligent and somewhat controversial forms of designing flexible structures that resisted regulatory tests but were controlledly in career conditions. The result? Less resistance in straight, more curved load and a substantial advantage without the FIA could object to anything. Until now. Nicolas Tombatsis, the technical director of single sections in the FIA, was clear to explain why it was necessary to intervene. It is not just equity. It is about maintaining the technical integrity of sport. If these gray areas are not put on, the technical development becomes a race of tolerated traps. And if something has Formula One is that each team will squeeze the regulation to the last centimeter if the opportunity is given. So here we are. The Barcelona-Catalunya circuit will be the opening test field for this new era of aerodynamic stiffness. A technical, complex circuit, where the efficiency of the front wing is not a luxury but a necessity. Any team that has not understood or correctly adapted this new directive will be exposed from the first round. Ferrari knows. That is why he has decided to focus all his attention on a single objective: to understand how his new spoiler behaves under these unpublished conditions. There is no room for errors or ambiguous interpretations. Each deviation, each flexion outside the limits, can cost time, and in F1 time is everything. In Montmeló they are not obsessed with winning. They are obsessed with understanding. And that difference, in a sport as relentless as Formula One, can mean everything. Ferrari has decided to pause any other update plan for Barcelona and focus its attention on one piece: the new front wing of the SF25. But it is not only a matter of parts, but of philosophy. In the paddock halls there is talk of aggressive evolutions, comprehensive aerodynamic packages, to reinvent half a car from one race to another. Ferrari, on the other hand, has decided to do something much more radical. Stop. Look with magnifying glass. Dissect each reaction, every thousandth of flexion, each variation of airflow caused by the new wing design. Because in modern Formula One, when everything moves so fast, sometimes the boldest decision is to stop and study. The new front wing of the SF25 is not simply a passive adaptation to the new FIA regulations. It is an attempt to Ferrari in anticipating the problems that could arise throughout the year. Designed to comply with the TD018 from the first millimeter, this spoiler is more rigid, but also more complex. Internally, it has required to rethink how structural loads are distributed along its surface, how the lateral elements with the end plate interact, and how to redirect the vortices that now, with less flexion, behave differently. Fred Vasseur, always pragmatic, made it clear: we will not introduce multiple components in Barcelona because it would contaminate the analysis. We need a clean reading. This statement hides a fundamental truth that many forget. In F1, success does not come only to innovate, but knowing exactly what is working and why. Barcelona is the perfect site for this experiment. With its combinations of rapid curves such as 3 and 9, slow as the final chicane and mean such as curve 5, each type of aerodynamic load will be tested. And if the spoiler works here, it is very likely to work on any calendar circuit. But there is another factor, the sensitivity of the car. The SF25 has proven to be a balanced car, but highly dependent on the front aerodynamic balance. Any change in the airflow generated by the wing directly affects the efficiency of the flat background and the diffuser. Therefore, modifying this piece without thoroughly understanding its effects can ruin the balance of the car. Ferrari is not willing to assume that risk. In the wind and CFD tunnel test, this new spoiler has shown promises to improve braking stability, reduce the subwiring in slow curves, and improve the efficiency of the DRS. But none of that serves if it is not confirmed on the track in real conditions. And this is where Ferrari's obsession enters. Measure, check, adjust. Session after session. Back after return. This decision is not only technical. Ferrari is saying something to the world: we are not going to run. We will understand every step. Because only who deeply understands their car can aspire to master a season where each team, every race, every detail can make the difference between the title and oblivion. From the outside, Ferrari's strategy may seem cautious, even conservative. In a championship where aggressive innovation has become the norm and where rivals such as McLaren introduce complete aerodynamic packages in multiple phases, limiting to a single component may seem like a waste of resources or a lost opportunity. But the true value of this decision is not in what Ferrari does not do, but in what he tries to avoid: technical confusion. Formula One is not simply a speed war. It is a war of interpretation. Each new introduced piece generates a cascade of data, collateral effects, possible synergies, and configuration conflicts. If you place 3 or 4 improvements at the same time, you never know which one is really working. And worse, you cannot clearly identify which one is failing. That is the type of technical dilemma that can take weeks or even months of poorly directed work. In this context, choosing the path of rigorous analysis is not passivity. It is control. It is long-term vision. Fans expect fireworks in each race, but the championship is won by building solid foundations. In 2024, Ferrari suffered precisely by doing the opposite. They introduced a series of updates in fast sequence, without sufficient validation time, and that cost them dozens of points in a championship that ended up losing for less than 15. That experience is recorded in the team's recent memory and has redefined how they address development in 2025. But this approach is not exempt from pressure. The expectations about Ferrari in 2025 are very high. With an alignment of pilots as powerful as that of Leclerc and Hamilton, and with the fresh memory of having fought for the title of builders last year, the margin of patience is minimal. In each press conference, in each analysis after a race, Ferrari is measured not only for their results, but for what they should be doing. And in that scenario, making conservative decisions is as bold as risky. The new front wing has to work. There is no margin of error. Not because the championship is defined in Barcelona, but because it is there where Ferrari has decided to plant its first flag. If the data does not confirm the simulations, if the car does not respond as expected, if the wing does not generate the desired effect on the general balance of the SF25, then they will not only have lost time, they will have lost confidence. And in Formula One, losing internal trust is losing technical ground. In modern Formula One, where every weekend seems to demand immediate responses and where media pressure works as a magnifying glass on each decision, Ferrari has chosen a path that not only will be against the countercurrent, but also exposes its most intimate philosophy, to once again own its technical destiny. With its decision to focus exclusively on the new front wing, the Scuderia is not only adapting to a new regulation. You are making a declaration of principles. Because behind each technical choice there is a deeper strategic narrative. Ferrari is telling the world that it will not be dragged by the anxiety of the short term. That before stacking updates without control, they prefer to build a solid base, understand each reaction of their car, and make sure that each step forward is truly that, a step forward, not a passing illusion that masks systemic errors. And it is no accident that this decision materializes in Barcelona. This circuit has historically been a technical barometer for Formula One. Does not forgive unbalanced cars, magnifies design defects, and rewards development accuracy. Therefore, Ferrari has chosen this place as a point of validation of his philosophy. If the new front wing behaves as the models predict, if the SF25 responds more precision, more curve stability, and better braking entry, then they will not only have taken a technical step, they will have validated a way of thinking about the development that could accompany them the rest of the year. But there is also a latent risk. If the component does not meet, if the results do not arrive or the data does not fit, the story can change. The patience that seems strategic today can be interpreted as inaction. And in a championship where McLaren and Mercedes are already hitting strong, and where Red Bull remains a constant threat, Ferrari cannot allow a wrong reading of their own data. This is the paradox facing Maranello's team. The same act of technical courage that can consolidate your campaign can also isolate them if it does not soon translate into visible performance. That is why this chapter in Barcelona will be more than a simple aerodynamic experiment. Will be a moment of truth. The SF25 carries more than a new spoiler. It carries the burden of a story that Ferrari is trying to rewrite.